I haven't seen you since the last time you were here. I saw your lovely wife, though.
She told me that.
Yeah.
We saw each other somewhere, some salon. You know,
some
she
hair
told
salon.
me after seeing you, she said, you know, I spent a month after having Livingston, our third child, in bed, and she goes, I had to watch a lot of TV in the day. She goes, there was one show that just I was able to escape and have a great time, and it was yours.
That was so sweet of her. She told me that.
Yeah.
So that's how I get them. At home in bed.
Yeah.
It's a captive audience after they have a baby. That's how I get them, and then I hold on to them.
And then you keep them.
That's right. You look really good. You haven't gained all the weight back, but you look really good.
I put 40 back on after that.
Yeah, 40 back on. Really? You look
40 back on.
Good. So that's back to normal then.
No, I've got another about 8 to go.
Yeah. So now was that? I'm sure you've been asked this question a million times, but I get cranky if I miss lunch. So how do you lose 47 pounds and work and have the energy to work because the role was so intense?
Well, I did it as healthy a way as possible. I mean, I met with 2 nutritionalists first, so I found out how I could lose 3.5 pounds a week. So I gave myself whatever that is, 3-4 months. And I ate meals. I just ate small meals.
Like what? What did you eat?
5 ounces of fish, a couple of vegetables, a little something else 3 times a day, and I also had my red wine at night. Keep my head straight.
You could have wine? That's a lot of sugar.
I don't know if part of it worked.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and I started off exercising really hard, you know, going for 2-hour runs, burning lots of calories, and then I injured my ankle, so I couldn't do it for about 10 days. But I stayed on the diet and I lost just as much weight. And I said, well, forget that. I'm not exercising anymore.
But you always exercise. You were always you love exercising, right?
Yeah, I do. But this was for 4 months, I was pretty hermetic. I mean, I stayed in, had controlled meals, didn't go outside and get sunshine because the guy needed to be pale as he was. And so I read and wrote more than I ever had. And I wouldn't I wouldn't go meet you at a restaurant. Because I didn't want to put myself under that temptation.
Right. But you shot in New Orleans, the worst city in the world to try.
You're from there. How do you do that? Right?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't go out.
It's nothing but
food. We snuck out, we'd show the kids the parade, and then I'd get back home.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, New Orleans is a tough place if you're going to even walk out the door to lose weight.
Yeah, to smell the beignets.
Yeah, and New Orleans.
Yeah.
A cocktail or a beignet 24/7, 7 days a week. Yeah. Anytime's a good time.
Yeah, it's mandatory. You have to drink and eat there.
Yeah.
So you sacrificed so much, obviously, to play this role. Like you said, you had to kind of stay in and starve yourself. But you were so brilliant. The film is so good. And were you aware of this? What was your awareness of AIDS at that time?
At that time, I didn't know about Ron Woodruff or the Buyers Clubs. I grew up in Longview, a few hours east of where this took place. So it was 1986. I was a sophomore in high school. Then I remember hearing about HIV and AIDS, and you know, it was kind of a taboo thing that was kind of out there. It was very foggy understanding. Plus, I was 16. I wasn't really thinking about it that much. But it being about 18 years old, I remember going to a few doctors and being concerned and saying, would somebody give me some science? As a heterosexual man who's doing what I'm doing as safe as I can you give me some science on what should I be scared? And it was everything from you better abstain and become a monk to no, you're okay. And I remember 3 different doctors having completely different diagnoses and percentages of what you should or shouldn't do. And so I didn't know what to do. And I think a lot of people were really, really, really scared whether we said it or not. And I think there was paranoia, and a lot of that came from the ignorance and just not really knowing. You know? And
then here's this guy who was not educated, who was heterosexual, who, well, you should explain what the Buyers Club is, what the Dallas Buyers Club is.
The Dallas Buyers Club that this guy Ron Woodruff opened up is, you know, he had HIV. The doctors, nobody at this time really knew what the right prescription was. They were given AZT. AZT was working somewhat, but your quality of life was very poor on it. So he went out and smuggled in these other different drugs and vitamins and medicines from these other different countries. Now, they were unapproved in America by the FDA. He came back and knew that selling these drugs and medicines and vitamins would be illegal. The law could get him. So what he did was he opened up a Buyers Club. So he charged everybody $400 a month membership, but you can have as many of the meds as you want. So he found a loophole, and he got a lot of really important medicine to a lot of different people. Kept himself alive. He was given 30 days to live. He lived 7 more years, and he kept a lot of other people alive quite a time longer than they were given.
Yeah, it's